Alright, hey, what's going on, everyone? Dan the Glassman here, and I just wanted to give you another update on what's going on with the coronavirus. So, I do believe from the last time that I put up a video on YouTube here, it was for day 4. So, we did day 2, day 4, basically when they were first implementing everything happening here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So, I have a timeline here on my Facebook page, and I kind of going to use this as a way of knowing where we kind of left off at. So last time that we left off, we were going and checking out the free food lunches, and that's been working out really good. Although I found out Van Buren Middle School, right across the street from us, they are not serving lunches, or they weren't on the first and the second day. I haven't had my daughter since then. So we'll find out this coming week, and we can go back there and just see if they're doing anything. And you can hear baby Daniel in the background. He's trying to tell you a little bit about what's going on as well. So I know. So the first thing that I see on my timeline is that I guess they started testing some people. And the main thing that happened was that Albuquerque had a city meeting on March 16th of 2020. Let me just make sure this is recording still. Yeah, so I do believe we're recording. So March 16th, 2020, the city of Albuquerque put together an Emergency Safeties Act. And basically that was to give the power to the mayor of Albuquerque to basically control what was going on, close down the city if he needs to close down certain, basically close down businesses, close down all kinds of different things, but also so he can keep infrastructure going as far as keeping medical supplies going and all kinds of stuff. So there was a lot of language and a lot of weird things that were in there that weren't really good, and a lot of us aren't so easy about what was passed. But this could help out with making sure that they have plenty of funds and things like that. I'm not going to be opinionated on it. I'm just letting you guys know what's going on and what's happening. But many things were passed through there and amended. It was voted, I believe, 6-3. So there were 9 councilmen on the board, and 6 of them voted for, 3 voted against. They wanted to actually have more time and be able to discuss each different point or aspect that was within that list there. And they wanted to get back to it and basically figure out how to word it better, more properly, without giving too much power to the mayor, and overriding things like overriding the state, overriding federal jurisdiction, overriding things like the separation of church and state, having the mayor being able to shut down churches and religious establishments. So they had a lot of weird things going on with that. And let me just show you, I'm going on this timeline right here. So it's just my Facebook timeline. Alright, so after that, so we had that town hall meeting, and that was one of the biggest things that we were kind of watching and following. We've basically been pushing a lot of new initiatives. We're trying to figure out, now that businesses are closing, a lot of us are out of work, can't figure out what to do to make money, and so we've been trying to figure out what we can do. So there's some non-profit organizations or different companies or different organizations that are out there who are they're putting funding together, and so you can actually apply for different funds, as well as President Trump is rolling out I believe $1,000 of a universal basic income. So universal basic income, basically we are all to be given, and I believe this is taxpayers are all to be given a $1,000 check, and I think that's per month, maybe twice a month. But I do believe that's only once a month. So I don't know where you guys live, but where we live here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, if you're making minimum wage, you're making $1,600 a month, give or take. And so $1,000 a month at $600 less than minimum wage, I would guesstimate that it's about $5 to $6 an hour that your universal basic income and what they're saying you are worth, about $5 to $6 an hour, and then I do believe that they're also going to be taxing these dollars. So if they're taking 30%, 20 to 30% of your income tax, well then that $1,000 is going to drop to about $700, something like that. So then really, now we're talking half of minimum wage. So if it drops down to like, $800, $700, well, that's, at $800, that's $1,600 minimum wage. So at $800, that's half of minimum wage. So that's $3.50 an hour, guys. That they're basically saying that you're worth. So it's kind of like the way I was looking at it was, Grandpa's over here all, here you go, sonny. Here's a nickel. Don't spend it all in one place. And it's kind of sad that people are all jumping on this. Like, oh yeah, we get $1,000 for free. Nothing's for free. And I do believe that they're going to make us do some things for it. But just be careful. Watch out for whatever hoops they're going to make you jump through for that. So people are going to be getting this universal basic income, about $1,000. I do believe that Bernie Sanders was pushing for $2,000, and I do believe that Tulsi Gabbard was also pushing for a little bit more as well. So basically, then there was some weird thing happening on Facebook, where a lot of people were getting all these notifications saying that what they shared was spam, and anything that had to do with coronavirus was getting shut down for spam or whatever. And so we had to figure out those things, and I don't know, there's some kind of weird bug, or so they say. So some of our stuff got removed, content got removed, and basically we're getting censored and edited left and right here. So I'm putting this on YouTube, and hopefully YouTube doesn't shut it down. But if they do, you can always find it on our website, www.thedropofwater.com. So another thing, being that I'm an artist and I'm a musician, many of us are trying to figure out how we can make money while we can't do any shows. So all the bars are closed down. We can't do any shows. There's no more events going on all over the world. Vegas shut down. New York is shut down at this point now. And so, the first weekend, like I was saying, I was going to be working at Monster Truck Convention, and even that got shut down, and I lost like, $400 to $600 that weekend. So how musicians can ask fans for support during this time. We basically, for the last couple years, I've been going live with my guitar. Basically, grab the guitar, and then I play some music for people, and then or before I even go and post it and everything, I make sure that I put my links up. I call it a virtual tip jar, and basically they can tip me in the virtual tip jar at my PayPal. So that's paypal.me/GardunoGlass. So anyone can always tip me anytime, even for any of this information here. So let's move on. So we have had, let's see what else is going on. A lot of people worrying about how it's going to crash the economy and all kinds of stuff. Okay, then there was a lot of people who were posting up that if people who claim that President Trump is not their president, to send their checks directly to them and stuff like that. And so, just to warn you guys, you're only getting paid about $3.50 an hour with that $1,000 check. So if you guys want to accept that, and that's what you want to accept as your worth, well, that's about what they're going to continue to give you. I don't see us coming out of this anytime soon. So another thing that happened was there were people saying they're going out and getting tested, right? So there's big old long lines everywhere, and a lot of people are saying to not go and get tested unless you actually have the symptoms and signs. If you are 100% healthy, don't go wasting the doctors and the hospitals' times and all of their medical equipment. Because everyone went out hoarding and buying all of this stuff, buying all these masks, buying all the gloves, buying everything, they created a shortage of the medical supplies, which I think that's ridiculous. I would think that there would be a public supply So you can go shopping at like Walgreens or your local food and drug store, whatever like that, and get your mask, get your gloves, get your things like that, aspirin, whatever. But there should be a medical supplier place specifically for the hospitals, for the nurses, for all the staff, all the doctors, the surgeons, everywhere. You know, like if you have to go get textbooks for your school, your college, you have to go to the textbook store, right? If you need to go get teacher supplies, well, they have a place where you can go and get all of your books there so you can teach your curriculum, you know. So why don't they have a place specifically for the medical staff, and why did they allow that supply to diminish and go into the public population? So now we have a shortage, which is making everything scary. The doctors aren't even able to protect themselves as well anymore, and if we don't have the doctors who can take care of us, then we're going to have a lot of people going sick and dying. So let's be careful on our hoarding and stop the whole buying the toilet paper all ridiculously and all this stuff, right? Another thing is that we've been having a lot of racist attacks going on all over the globe, and people are attacking anyone who looks Asian. Now, they're just calling them Chinese, you know, and so. We actually were involved in an incident here that happened in Albuquerque downtown at a local restaurant, the Asian Noodle Bar downtown in Albuquerque on Route 66, and they had some spray paint and some derogatory statement put on the back wall in the alley there, basically a racist remark. And so the city, some of the officials of Albuquerque, some of the city council members who were on the meeting there at the March 16th meeting, well, this was actually the very next day, March 17th, they came out. So that was on St. Patty's Day, which we didn't even know St. Patty's Day was happening. Usually our city is already downtown where we were at. The bars would be all full and set up and green and everything. And I didn't even notice anything about St. Patty's Day on that day until I got home, and I was like, wait. Looking down, making sure I'm actually wearing green right now too, and making sure I was wearing green that day, and I guess I did. And who even cares if you wear green or not? So we were there at the Asian Noodle Bar. City council members, the Albuquerque attorney, the city attorney was there. The police chief was there, and they basically were there to support the establishment and to let everyone know that in the city, if we have any sort of racial remarks, slurs, anything like that, that they have to be reported, and they're going to be taking records of this, keeping track of all of the racial attacks and everything. And it just so happened that when we go home that evening, our own President Trump is on a presidential speech or whatever, he's giving an address to the nation, and he calls it the Chinese virus. So I actually reported him to the officer who was there, the police chief, and let him know that we can't even allow the president to be doing this, you know. And I did ask them when we were there, do we have any sort of jurisdiction if these racial slurs come through like the internet, like Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, Twitter, any of those things? Like, do we have any sort of jurisdiction or whatever? And he said any and all incidents to please report it to him. So I figured I might as well report it. And so I reported President Trump and let them know that we can't allow this to happen either. But I don't think they can do anything about it except maybe try to address the public in a whole different way. I'm not sure. So now, after that, let's see what else happens. They shut down the schools, so all the schools got closed for 2 weeks. Oh, another big thing in the news. So after all that happened and the schools closed down, we got all the lunches and everything. They figured out lots of places. I believe 89 sites here in New Mexico or in Albuquerque to pick up your lunches. And we checked out, and that was great for what they can provide. So a few days later, then we find out that Bill Gates, he stepped down from Microsoft. Now, before all of this, I've been following what's going on with Bill Gates and how he's been moving his money from mostly investing into tech stock, which, you know, Microsoft and Microsoft Tech and computers and all of everything that Microsoft makes. Well, he stepped down from Microsoft. And what I've been watching is that he moved his money from the tech stocks into medical supplies long before this happened. And many of you might have seen the next Netflix show that was called Pandemic. And basically it was a run on a scenario, to like a training scenario on what would happen if the coronavirus, if we had an outbreak of a coronavirus. Now this was done, I believe, a year prior to when the actual coronavirus was said to take place in Wuhan and how it outbroke there. And there's more information that we found out might have come from Fort Merrick and here in the U.S. So we're still trying to figure out if we can pinpoint those facts or not. So after that, Bill Gates steps down, right? And I already know that he's put his money into medical supplies. And this was long before Wuhan and coronavirus outbroke there. So knowing what was going on and then having watched Pandemic and seeing how he's going to rise up to basically create a cure for something that he possibly even released. So after that, then one of the Rothschilds, I forget exactly his name, but he even stepped down. Lord Rothschild steps down after 30 years at RIT Capital, and that was after Bill Gates. So that's very interesting, right? So they're both stepping down. I'm not sure what's going on with all that, but maybe they're trying to remove themselves from a situation that those companies are going to get found to have been a part of this, and they're trying to separate themselves. I don't really know. We'll find out when things come, right? So let's see what else I can find here that's happened in this last week. We did have to cancel our event. We were doing a Trash for Treasury event where you were going to pick up trash at the Bosque. We were going to be, baby Daniel again. So we were going to picking up the area around the river, which is known as the Bosque here in Burque, Albuquerque, New Mexico here. And we were going to be cleaning up down by the Rio Grande River. And anyone who picked up the most trash was going to win a prize. And we had to cancel that yesterday. I was going to be on the 21st, which we were going to be, or actually it was going to be today. Today's the 21st. And I don't know when this is going up, but that's when we're recording. This is on the 21st of March, Saturday. And so tomorrow is actually World Water Day. And we were going to be doing this to celebrate water and honor water, and to basically celebrate World Water Day, which happens every year, March 22nd. So we had to cancel that. I'm sorry, guys. Let's see what else is going on. I also put a big post up there, which this post created a lot of hate, a lot of questions on where I was coming from. And basically I was just talking about how I felt spiritually, and that we have to just get right with God. And basically, you know, also talking about the numbers right now, how with comparison to the trillions of people on the planet, and what I know that they're trying to do with, I heard the first phase was dropping the population down, cutting out 100 million right away. So I've seen projections for about 33 million to 60 million, but what I heard was this should be at about 100 million people that are supposed to be removed from this planet. And so I made a post saying how, you know, the few thousand that we have that have died in Italy or just around the world right now, that it's a small portion of what we have. And I said, I used the term a drop in the bucket because I always refer to water, and that we are all water drops in this vast ocean of life. And without all of us water drops, we can't create an ocean. So what I said is basically like a drop in the bucket of the whole masses, and people took that personal, and I'm sorry if I offended anyone for saying that, because then they were equating it to, well, you just think that lives equal a drop of water, And actually, yeah, because I believe that every one of us, we're all water, because we're all made of water. And so it's kind of a weird thing to have to try to explain that to people. Because I honor water, and I know that our cellular form is basically made up of mostly water, about 90%, and our bodies are about 60 to 90% water, depending on how much we drink per day and how much we sweat out. So yeah, we are all just drops of water in this bucket, and so I'm sorry if people took offense to that. Um, so after that, I realized that a lot of the AA meetings were going to be closing, and so I wanted to put that out there that we need to figure out a place, and maybe I could get a big book and I could actually start hosting some meetings online and stuff. And a lot of people came to my aid, wanted to give me the book, big book, or help me out with files, find me places online. And so basically we found out there are online classes and people can get their help there. You can just follow the links. Hopefully I can post them down here below for you. So if you need some help with going to AA, right now everyone is freaking out, and I know that people who have been struggling with